Welcome back to Afro Korean Drama, family. If you missed part 2, stop right here. You need to catch up because we left off on the most insane cliffhanger. Quick recap. Taehyun discovered his son Minsik isn't biologically his. His wife Hana had an affair and was murdered for the secret she kept. Malia came to help, but then the ultimate bombshell dropped. Malia is Jinwoo's sister. Jinwoo, the man who had the affair with Hana. The man who's Minsik's real father. And Malia had no idea. Taehyun's world shattered. Malia's heart broke. And just as the truth came out, armed men broke into their safe house. And that's where we pick up. Part 1 link is in the description. Part 2 link is right there too. Go watch them now if you haven't, then come back. If you're caught up, buckle up. Part 3 is about to get dark, dangerous, and devastating. Hit subscribe, drop a like, and let's go. The door exploded inward, not opened. Exploded. Wood splintered in every direction as the battering ram connected, and before the debris even hit the floor, armed men poured through the opening like a flood of death. "Get down!" Taehyun roared. Malia didn't think. She just moved. She dropped to the floor, arms wrapped protectively around Minsik, her body curling over the baby like a human shield. The phone, Hana's phone with all the evidence, was still clutched in her other hand. Gunfire erupted. The sound was deafening, disorienting, suffocating. Malia pressed her face against Minsik's soft hair, felt his little body trembling against hers, heard his terrified cries barely audible over the chaos. Taehyun moved like violence personified. He'd grabbed his gun from the coffee table the instant the door burst open, and now he fired with cold precision. One shot, one body dropping. Another shot, another intruder down. No hesitation, no mercy. Just brutal, efficient killing. But there were too many. 4 men, 5, 6. They kept coming, spreading through the small apartment, taking cover behind furniture, returning fire. "Malia!" Taehyun's voice cut through the noise. "Bedroom, now!" She scrambled to her feet, keeping low, Minsik screaming in her arms. Bullets tore through the walls around her, plaster and drywall raining down like snow. She ran, pure adrenaline carrying her forward, and crashed through the bedroom door. Behind her, Taehyun provided cover fire. She heard his weapon clicking, empty. Heard him curse in Korean. Heard the sickening thud of fists hitting flesh as he switched to hand-to-hand combat. Malia slammed the bedroom door shut and locked it. Not that it would hold long. Her hands shook as she looked around desperately for an escape route. The window, there. Fire escape outside. She yanked it open, just as something heavy slammed against the bedroom door. Once. Twice. The wood began to crack. "Come on, baby, please." She whispered to Minsik, climbing out onto the rusty metal fire escape. The cold night air hit her face, and she realized she was crying. When had she started crying? The door behind her splintered open. Malia didn't look back. She ran down the fire escape, feet clanging on metal, baby clutched to her chest, terror propelling her forward. She made it 2 flights down before she heard it, the screech of tires below. A black SUV skidded to a stop in the alley beneath her. Her heart seized. More of them. They'd cut off her escape. The door flew open. "Malia, move!" Junho's familiar face. Relief flooded through her so intensely she nearly collapsed. She jumped the last few feet, Junho catching her, steadying her, pushing her into the SUV. Where's the boss? Still up there. He was fighting them. I don't know. More gunfire from above. Then, impossibly, Taehyun appeared at the top of the fire escape. His face was bloodied, his shirt torn, but he was alive. He vaulted over the railing and slid down the side supports like he'd done it 1,000 times, dropping the last story and landing in a crouch beside the vehicle. "Drive," he barked at Junho. The SUV peeled out before Taehyun's door even fully closed. More gunfire erupted behind them, bullets sparking off the vehicle's reinforced body. But then they turned a corner, and another, and the sounds faded. For a long moment, no one spoke. Just the sound of harsh breathing and Minsik's slowly quieting whimpers. Malia looked down. The baby's face was red and tear-streaked, but he wasn't hurt. She checked anyway, running her hands over his little body, examining every inch. No blood, no injuries, safe. "Are you hurt?" Taehyun's voice was cold, distant. She looked up. He was staring straight ahead, jaw clenched, not looking at her. "No," she whispered. "We're okay." He nodded once, still didn't look at her. The distance between them, barely 2 feet in the back of the SUV, felt like an ocean. "Boss," Junho said carefully from the driver's seat. "Where to?" "The warehouse." The one by the docks. No one knows about it except us. Understood. Silence fell again. Malia tried to catch Taehyun's eye, but he kept his gaze fixed on the window, watching the city blur past. His knuckles were bruised and bleeding. There was a cut above his eye, but he didn't seem to notice or care. Taehyun, she started softly. Not now. His voice was ice. Please, just let me. I said not now, Malia. He finally looked at her, and the coldness in his eyes made her breath catch. We just survived another attack. People are trying to kill us. Kill him. He glanced at Minsik. So forgive me if I don't want to discuss the fact that you're the sister of the man who destroyed my marriage right this second. The words were like knives. Malia felt tears burning behind her eyes, but refused to let them fall. I didn't know, she whispered. I swear to God, I didn't know. Doesn't change what he did, doesn't change what she did. His jaw worked. Doesn't change anything. I know. Her voice broke despite her best efforts. I know it doesn't. But I'm not him. I'm not Jinwoo. I'm not responsible for his choices. No, but you're a walking reminder of them. He turned back to the window. And right now, I don't know if I can look at you without seeing him. The words shouldn't have hurt as much as they did. They'd only known each other for a short time. What they had, whatever it was, had been built on crisis and adrenaline and circumstances beyond their control. But God, it hurt. Malia looked down at Minsik, who had finally fallen into an exhausted sleep against her chest. This innocent baby, caught in the middle of so much pain and betrayal and violence. For what it's worth, she whispered, more to herself than to Taehyun, Jinwoo was a good man. Whatever he did, whatever mistakes he made, he wasn't a monster. Good men don't sleep with other men's wives. Good men make terrible choices when they're trying to protect people they care about. Taehyun's head snapped toward her. What's that supposed to mean? Malia met his gaze steadily. I don't know yet, but I intend to find out. Because my brother wasn't the kind of man who'd just have an affair for no reason. There's something we're missing. Something Hana didn't tell us. Or maybe you just don't want to believe your brother was capable of betrayal. Maybe? Or maybe you don't want to believe there's more to this story because it's easier to hate him and me than to consider that everything is more complicated than it seems. They stared at each other, the air crackling with tension and unspoken emotions. Finally, Taehyun looked away first. We'll figure it out, he said quietly. But right now, staying alive takes priority over understanding the past. Malia nodded, even though he wasn't looking at her anymore. Agreed. The rest of the drive passed in heavy silence. The warehouse was exactly what it sounded like, a massive abandoned industrial space near the waterfront. Rusted metal, broken windows, the smell of salt water and decay. But it was secure, off the grid, and unknown to anyone outside Taehyun's innermost circle. Junho had 2 other guards waiting when they arrived. They secured the perimeter while Taehyun led Malia inside to a small office space that had been converted into a makeshift living area. Nothing fancy, just a cot, some supplies, a space heater struggling against the cold. You'll be safe here, his tone still distant. For now. What about you? Malia asked, settling Minsik onto the cot. The baby was still asleep, exhausted from the trauma. I have work to do. People to call? We need to figure out who keeps finding us. There's a mole, obviously. His voice was sharp. The question is who? Malia pulled Hana's phone from her pocket, miraculously still intact despite everything. Maybe the answer is in here. We only scratched the surface of what she recorded. Taehyun's eyes fixed on the phone. For a moment, raw pain flashed across his face before he shuttered it away. Give it to me. I'll go through it. We should go through it together. Why? The question was harsh. So you can defend your brother some more? So we can find the truth? Malia shot back, her own temper flaring. Or are you too busy feeling sorry for yourself to care about actually solving this? The words hung in the air like a slap. Taehyun's jaw clenched so tight she heard his teeth grind. Careful, Malia. Or what? You'll push me away more than you already have? She stood, moving toward him. I get it. You're hurt. You're angry. You feel betrayed by everyone. Hana, Jinwoo, your brother, even me, just for existing. But we don't have the luxury of falling apart right now. People are trying to kill us. Kill that baby. She pointed at sleeping Minsik. So either work with me to figure this out, or let me do it alone. For a long moment, Taehyun just stared at her. Then, slowly, something in his expression shifted. The ice cracked just a little. "You're right," he said quietly. "I'm sorry, He stopped, swallowing hard. "Everything is just falling apart, I know." Malia's voice softened. "But we can't let it. Not yet, not until we finish this." He nodded, and when he looked at her again, there was less coldness and more exhaustion. "Okay, let's go through the phone, together." They sat side by side on the floor, backs against the wall, the phone between them. Malia pulled up the file directory. Dozens of recordings, documents, photos, all encrypted, all damning. "Where do we even start?" she murmured. "With Jinwoo." Taehyun's voice was steady now, controlled. "If there's more to his story like you think, there has to be evidence here. Hana documented everything." Malia scrolled through the files, looking for anything with her brother's name. Finally, JinwooTruth.mp3. Her finger hovered over it. "You ready?" "But play it anyway." She pressed play. Hana's voice filled the small space, tired, scared, but determined. "This is about Jinwoo, and I need to explain, because if something happens to me, people need to know he wasn't a villain. He was trying to help." Malia's breath caught. Taehyun went very still. "Jinwoo Lee contacted me 6 months before the affair started. He said he was a journalist, working on an expose about corruption in Seoul's criminal networks. He discovered evidence linking organized crime to government officials, police, even prosecutors. And somehow my name came up. He wanted to interview me." A pause. The sound of Hana breathing shakily. "I refused at first. I told him I didn't know anything, which was true. But he was persistent. He showed me documents, proof that people in Taehyun's organization were working both sides, taking bribes, feeding information, betraying him." Taehyun's fist clenched against his thigh. "I didn't want to believe it," Hana continued. "But Jinwoo was convincing. He said he wasn't trying to hurt Taehyun. He wanted to expose the people using him. He thought I could help identify the traitors. So I agreed to work with him. Secretly." Malia closed her eyes. Her brother, an undercover journalist. She'd known he'd changed careers after university, but he'd been so vague about what he was doing. "We met regularly," Hana said, "always carefully, always in secret. And over time, I started to trust him, care about him. He was kind. He listened. He understood things about me that Taehyun couldn't see because he was too deep in his world." A long pause. "The affair wasn't planned. It just happened. And I know that doesn't excuse it. I know it was wrong. But Jinwoo became the only person I could talk to about the fear I lived with every day. The fear that Taehyun would die, that I'd lose him, that the violence would eventually destroy us." Taehyun's breathing had gone shallow. "When I got pregnant, I didn't know who the father was. The timing was impossible to determine, and by then, things with Jinwoo had ended. He'd gotten his story. His expose was nearly complete. We agreed to stop seeing each other." Another shaky breath. "But then Jinwoo discovered something worse. Someone knew about us. Someone had been watching, and they were going to use it, not just to destroy Taehyun's reputation, but to blackmail me into feeding them information about his operations." Malia felt sick. "Jinwoo tried to protect me. He refused to publish his expose because he knew it would draw attention to me. He went back to investigate who was targeting us. And that's when..." Hana's voice broke. "That's when they killed him. Made it look like a car accident. But it wasn't. It was murder." The recording went silent except for Hana crying. "I thought if I gave them what they wanted, small pieces of information, they'd leave Minsik alone. But it was never enough. They kept demanding more. So I gathered evidence, built a case, recorded everything, because I knew eventually they'd kill me too." A final pause. "Jinwoo wasn't a monster. He was a good man who made mistakes but died trying to fix them. If you're hearing this, Malia, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you lost your brother because of me." The recording ended. Silence crashed down on the small room like a physical weight. Malia couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her brother, her kind, idealistic brother who'd always wanted to make a difference in the world, he'd been murdered. Not for an affair, for trying to expose corruption, for trying to protect a woman he'd cared about. "Malia," Taehyun's voice was rough. She realized she was crying, tears streaming down her face, shoulders shaking. "He was trying to help," she choked out. "He was trying to do the right thing, and they killed him for it. I know. And I blamed him. I spent 2 years thinking he'd been reckless. Malia? Taehyun's hand closed over hers. You didn't know. Neither did I. She turned to look at him, and the expression on his face was no longer cold. It was devastated, conflicted, human. She loved him, he said quietly. Not just Hana. Jinwoo loved her too. You can hear it in what he did, the choices he made. I'm sorry, Malia whispered. I'm so sorry. Don't. His grip tightened on her hand. None of this is your fault. Jinwoo made his choices. Hana made hers. And whatever I feel about those choices, he stopped, jaw working. They don't change the fact that you're not responsible for any of it. But I'm still his sister. Yes. And that means you lost someone too, just like I did. His thumb brushed over her knuckles. We're both grieving people who betrayed us even while trying to protect us. The truth of that settled between them, painful but somehow lighter than the anger had been. What do we do now? Malia asked. We finish what they started. Taehyun's voice hardened with resolve. We find everyone involved in this conspiracy. We expose them, we destroy them, and we make sure Jinwoo and Hana didn't die for nothing. Together? Together. Their eyes met, and for the first time since the revelation about Jinwoo, Malia saw something other than coldness in Taehyun's gaze. Something warmer. Something that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. Taehyun, she started, not sure what she wanted to say. But before she could find the words, Minsik stirred on the cot, making small distressed sounds. They both turned, the moment broken but not forgotten. I'll get him, Malia said, standing. No, let me. Taehyun moved to the cot, carefully lifting the baby. Minsik's eyes fluttered open, and for a moment he looked confused. Then he saw Taehyun's face and relaxed, tiny hand reaching up to touch his cheek. Hey, little one, Taehyun murmured. You're okay. We're all okay. Watching them together, this man who just learned the baby wasn't his blood but loved him anyway, this child who'd been born from betrayal but deserved none of the darkness surrounding him, Malia felt something shift in her chest. This was family. Chosen, complicated, broken, but real. And she'd fight to protect it. The next days blurred together in a strange suspended reality. They stayed in the warehouse. Junho brought supplies, food, clothes, baby items. Taehyun worked his contacts remotely, trying to identify the conspiracy's leaders while maintaining enough of his operation to avoid appearing weak. And Malia took care of Minsik, maintained their makeshift home, and slowly, carefully, rebuilt the bridge between herself and Taehyun. It wasn't easy. There were moments when she'd catch him staring at her with an unreadable expression. Moments when he'd start to reach for her, then pull back. Moments when the weight of everything between them felt too heavy to carry. But there were other moments, too. Like the night Minsik wouldn't stop crying, and they'd both been up for hours trying everything. Finally, exhausted and desperate, they'd started singing together. Her in English, him in Korean, a nonsense melody that somehow worked. The baby had fallen asleep between them, and they'd looked at each other over his tiny form and smiled. Really smiled, for the first time in days. Or the afternoon when Taehyun had been going through more of Hana's files and suddenly broken down. Just collapsed forward, hands over his face, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Malia had moved to him without thinking, wrapping her arms around him from behind, holding him while he grieved. He'd grabbed her hands, held them against his chest over his heart, and whispered, I loved her. Despite everything, I loved her. I know, Malia had whispered back. And she loved you too. That's why this hurts so much. Or the evening when he'd been teaching her self-defense moves. Practical, he'd said, given how often people were trying to kill them. But the lesson had devolved into something else. Him standing behind her, correcting her stance, hands on her hips, her breathless and hyper-aware of every point where their bodies touched. Him leaning closer, breath warm against her neck, voice dropping lower. Like this. Yes, exactly like that. They'd frozen, the air electric. Then Minsik had made a sound from his playpen, and the spell had broken. But the tension remained. It was there every time their hands brushed, reaching for the same item. Every time their eyes met across the room, every time one of them said the other's name. Building, intensifying, becoming impossible to ignore. Finally, one night after Minsik was asleep, Taehyun broke the silence. We need to talk about this, he said. Malia looked up from the phone she'd been scrolling through. About what? Don't play dumb. You know what. Her heart kicked up. Taehyun, this, he gestured between them. Whatever this is, because we can't keep pretending it's not happening. She set the phone down carefully. You're right, we can't. So what do we do about it? He moved closer, sitting beside her on the floor where she'd been working. Because this is insane. Everything about this is insane. You're Jinwoo's sister. Your brother had an affair with my wife. We're being hunted by people who want us dead. And somehow, despite all of that, he stopped, jaw clenching. I can't stop thinking about you. Malia's breath caught. Taehyun, I should hate you, he continued, voice rough with emotion. Or at minimum, I should want nothing to do with you. But instead, he laughed bitterly. Instead, I find myself wanting to protect you, wanting to be near you, wanting things I have no right to want. You think I don't feel it too? Malia's voice shook. You think this is easy for me? You're the husband of my best friend who died 2 months ago. You're grieving. We're in mortal danger, and She stopped, swallowing hard. I'm falling for you, and it feels like the worst kind of betrayal. To who? To Hana, to the memory of what you two had. What we had was built on lies. The words were bitter, but true. I loved her. God knows I loved her. But she lied to me about so many things, and I lied to her too, about who I really was, what I really did, the darkness I carried. We were two people trying to love each other across a chasm neither of us knew how to bridge. He turned to fully face Malia, and the vulnerability in his expression stole her breath. But you, he said quietly, you've seen the worst of me, the violence, the coldness, the broken pieces, and you're still here. Because those aren't the only parts of you. Malia reached up, her palm cupping his face. I see the man who holds that baby like he's the most precious thing in the world. The man who breaks down crying because he loved his wife despite her flaws. The man who's trying so hard to do right by people even when the world keeps punishing him for it. Taehyun's hand came up to cover hers where it rested on his cheek. Malia. This is terrifying, she whispered. And probably wrong, and definitely complicated. But I don't want to fight it anymore. Life is too short, too dangerous. And if we die tomorrow, we're not going to die tomorrow. But if we do, I don't want to die regretting that I didn't tell you. She stopped, gathering courage. That I love you. The words hung between them, raw and honest and terrifying. Taehyun's eyes searched her face. You can't. You barely know me. I know enough. It's only been 2 weeks. And I've seen more of who you really are in those 2 weeks than some people see in a lifetime. Malia, if we do this, if we cross this line, there's no going back. I know. People will judge us. They'll say it's too soon, that it's wrong, that we're disrespecting Hana's memory. Let them. Malia's voice was steady despite the tears gathering in her eyes. I don't care what anyone else thinks. The only opinions that matter are ours. And maybe, she swallowed, maybe Hana would understand. Maybe she sent me here for this too. Not just to protect Minsik, but to give you someone who could understand this world. Someone who could stand beside you in it. That's a convenient rationalization. Maybe, or maybe it's true. We'll never know. Her thumb brushed his cheekbone. But I know how I feel. And I know what I see when you look at me. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? For a long moment, Taehyun just stared at her. Then slowly, he leaned forward. This, he breathed against her lips and kissed her. It wasn't like their first kiss, desperate and adrenaline-fueled. This was slow, deliberate. A choice they were both making with open eyes and full hearts. Malia's hand slid into his hair, pulling him closer. His arms wrapped around her waist, lifting her into his lap. They kissed like they were trying to pour every unspoken word, every complicated emotion, every terrifying feeling into the connection between them. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Taehyun pressed his forehead to hers. I love you too, he whispered. God help me, I love you too. Malia's sob was half laugh, half cry. We're insane. Completely. This won't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is. She kissed him again, softer this time. Then I guess we figure it out as we go. Together. Together. They held each other in the dim warehouse, surrounded by danger and uncertainty, but for just this moment, feeling something close to peace. The next morning brought clarity and new determination. Taehyun and Malia sat together, going through more of Hana's files systematically. What they discovered about Jinwoo had reframed everything. Now they were looking for patterns, connections, evidence of the larger conspiracy. Here, Malia said suddenly, pointing at a document. This keeps appearing, Project Phoenix. It's mentioned in at least a dozen different files. Taehyun leaned closer, reading. Project Phoenix, a joint initiative between the Choi crime family and several government officials to consolidate power and eliminate competition. His jaw clenched. That competition being me. Look at the names. Malia scrolled down. Police Commissioner Kang, Prosecutor General Lee, Judge Park, and she stopped. Minho Park? Your brother. I know. Taehyun's voice was flat. He confessed before I dealt with him. He wanted my position. Thought partnering with the Chois would get it for him. But there's more. Malia opened another file. Look, Jinwoo's investigation. He was tracking all of these people. He had evidence of money laundering, bribery, even murder for hire. This wasn't just about taking you down. It was about building a criminal empire with government protection. And Hana stumbled into the middle of it by being married to me. Not stumbled. They targeted her specifically. Malia pointed at another document. See this? They approached her first, before Jinwoo. They tried to recruit her as an informant. When she refused, they sent Jinwoo to befriend her, except Jinwoo was actually investigating them, not working with them. The pieces were falling into place, creating a picture more complex than either had imagined. So Jinwoo gets close to Hana under the guise of journalism, Taehyun said slowly. They genuinely connect. The affair happens, she gets pregnant. Then the conspiracy realizes Jinwoo is actually working against them, so they kill him and try to blackmail Hana. And when she refuses to cooperate fully, they kill her too. Malia's voice shook. They murdered both of them and made it look like accidents. Which means the person behind this, the head of Project Phoenix, is still out there and still hunting us because we have all the evidence. They looked at each other, the weight of it settling over them. We need to know who's in charge, Taehyun said. The Choi family has leadership, but someone is coordinating everything, someone with access to both the criminal world and the government. Malia scrolled through more files, searching. Then she found it. PhoenixLeader.mp4. This is it, she breathed. A video file. Hana must have recorded something. Play it. She pressed play, and the screen filled with shaky footage, clearly recorded secretly, probably on Hana's phone hidden in her purse or pocket. The audio was muffled but audible. A meeting, multiple voices. Need to accelerate the timeline, a man's voice said. Park is becoming suspicious. His wife is asking too many questions. Then we eliminate her, another voice replied. Cold. Familiar somehow, though neither could place it. What about the journalist? Lee? Already handled. The car accident will be ruled mechanical failure. No one will question it. Malia's hand flew to her mouth. Hearing them discuss Jinwoo's murder so casually, and if Park's wife doesn't cooperate, the first voice asked. Same solution. Make it look like grief drove her to suicide, or another accident, whatever works. Efficient. A pause. What about the baby? Leverage. If we can't control Park through his wife, we'll threaten the child. And if that doesn't work? The familiar voice again. Then we kill them all and take what's ours. Park's operation, his territory, his connections, all of it. Malia's heart pounded. The casual discussion of murdering a baby, of murdering Minsik, the video shifted. Hana must have adjusted the phone because suddenly the angle changed, revealing faces. Taehyun went rigid. No, he breathed. No, it can't. But there he was, clear as day on the video, Detective Woo, Taehyun's childhood friend, the man who'd been feeding him information for years, the man he trusted above almost everyone. Oh my God, Malia whispered. Detective Woo stood at the head of the table, clearly in charge. Beside him were known members of the Choi family, several government officials, and... Pause it, Taehyun said roughly. There. Zoom in on that man in the back. Malia did. A nondescript man in a suit, half hidden in shadow. That's Director Shin, Taehyun said, head of the National Intelligence Service, one of the most powerful men in Korea. Jesus. This goes all the way to the top. Taehyun's voice was hollow. NIS, prosecutors, organized crime, all working together under Woo's coordination. The video continued playing. Woo speaking, Park trusts me completely. He'll never suspect. By the time he realizes what's happening, it'll be too late. We'll have everything. His business, his assets, his connections in Japan and China. Project Phoenix will control organized crime in all of East Asia. And if Park survives, someone asked. Wu smiled, a cold, terrible smile. He won't. I'll make sure of that personally. After all, his smile widened. What are friends for? The video ended. Silence crashed down on them. He was my friend, Taehyun said quietly. Since we were kids, I trusted him with my life. Multiple times he saved me, and all along, his hands clenched into fists, all along he was planning to destroy me. Malia reached for him, but he pulled away, standing abruptly. I need air. Taehyun. I'll be right outside. Just give me a minute. He left before she could respond. Malia sat alone with the phone, the video's final frame frozen on Detective Wu's smiling face. The mastermind. The one who'd orchestrated everything. Jin Woo's death, Hana's death, the attacks on them. And he was Taehyun's closest friend. How did you come back from that kind of betrayal? Taehyun returned 20 minutes later, face composed but eyes burning with cold fury. I have a plan, he said without preamble. Okay. We can't go to the police. Wu controls them. Can't go to prosecutors. They're compromised. Can't even go to NIS. Director Shin is part of it. He began pacing. But what we can do is go public. Release everything. Every file, every recording, every piece of evidence. Flood the media with it until they can't suppress it anymore. They'll kill us before we can. Not if we do it right. He stopped, turning to face her. We set up dead man switches. Multiple copies of the evidence sent to journalists, international media, even foreign governments. If anything happens to us, it all goes public automatically. And then we call Wu. Tell him we want to meet, negotiate, make him think we're scared and willing to deal. That's insane. You know it's a trap. Of course it's a trap, but it's also our chance to get him on record confessing. One more piece of evidence to seal the case. Taehyun, he'll try to kill you. Let him try. His smile was dangerous. I've survived worse, and this time I'll be ready for him. Malia stood, moving to him. I don't like this. Neither do I, but it's the only way. Then I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. Yes. Her voice was firm. If you're walking into danger, I'm right beside you. We're in this together, remember? Malia, don't. She grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. Don't you dare try to protect me by pushing me away. Not now. Not after everything. For a moment, he looked like he might argue. Then he sighed, leaning into her touch. You're going to be the death of me, or the reason you survive. She kissed him softly. When do we do this? Tomorrow. I need time to set up the dead man's switches and contact Wu. He pulled her closer. But tonight, I just want to pretend the world outside this warehouse doesn't exist. I can do that. They spent the evening in quiet domesticity, feeding Minsik, playing with him, watching him babble and smile like the innocent child he was, as if they were a normal family, as if danger wasn't closing in from all sides. When Minsik finally fell asleep, Taehyun and Malia lay together on the cot, tangled up in each other's arms. Tell me something, Taehyun murmured into her hair. Something good. Something from before all of this. Malia thought for a moment. When Jin Woo and I were kids in Lagos, we used to sneak out at night and climb onto the roof of our building. We'd lie there for hours, looking at the stars, making up stories about where we'd go when we grew up. He wanted to change the world, make it better. He tried. Yeah, he did. Her voice thickened. I miss him. Even knowing what I know now, even understanding why he made the choices he did, I miss my brother. I know. Taehyun's arms tightened around her. I miss Hana too, the version of her I thought I knew. Maybe that version never existed, but I still grieve her. Maybe the people we loved were exactly who we thought, just more complicated than we realized. Maybe. They lay in silence for a while, holding each other, finding comfort in the warmth and solidity of another person who understood. Malia? Taehyun said eventually, if something happens tomorrow, don't. Listen to me. He shifted so he could see her face. If something happens, I need you to take Minsik and run. Junho has instructions. There's money, documents, everything you need to disappear. Promise me you'll go. I'm not promising that. Malia, if something happens to you, it happens to both of us. I'm not running. I'm not leaving you behind. You have to. For him. He glanced toward the crib where Minsik slept. He needs someone, and you're his family. Blood family. Jinwoo's sister. He deserves to know where he came from. Tears burned Malia's eyes. Don't talk like you're already dead. I'm not. I'm just being practical. Well, stop it, because we're both going to survive tomorrow. We're going to expose these bastards, tear down their conspiracy, and then, her voice broke. And then we're going to figure out how to build a life. The three of us, somehow. You really believe that? I have to, because the alternative is unthinkable. Taehyun pulled her close, kissing her with desperate intensity, like he was trying to memorize the taste of her, the feel of her, everything about this moment. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, he whispered, I love you. I love you too. They fell asleep wrapped around each other, stealing what peace they could before the storm. The next day, everything moved with terrible momentum toward the inevitable confrontation. Taehyun made the call to Detective Woo from a burner phone. The conversation was brief, tense. We need to talk? Taehyun said. About? Woo's voice was smooth, friendly, like nothing was wrong. About ending this. I know you're behind everything. I have proof, but I'm willing to negotiate. A pause, then. I always knew you were smart, Taehyun. Where and when? Hannam Bridge, midnight, just you and me. And if I bring others? Then the evidence goes public and we all burn together, your choice. Another pause. I'll be there, alone. The line went dead. He's lying, Malia said. He'll bring an army. I know. That's why we're bringing ours. Junho and his most trusted men were positioned around the bridge before Taehyun and Malia even arrived. Snipers, close protection, escape routes, everything planned to the second. You should stay in the car, Taehyun said as they approached the meeting point. Not a chance. He looked like he wanted to argue, but knew it was pointless. Stay behind me. If anything happens, I know. Run. I won't. Stubborn woman. You love it. Despite everything, he smiled. Yeah, I do. They walked onto the bridge together. It was deserted. Junho had seen to that. The Han River flowed dark and cold below them, city lights reflecting off the water like fallen stars. Detective Woo stood in the center of the bridge, hands in his coat pockets, looking relaxed, like they were meeting for coffee, not potentially ending each other's lives. Taehyun, he called out. And you must be Malia, Jinwoo's sister. I've heard so much about you. More than I've heard about you, apparently, Malia shot back. Woo smiled. Fair enough, so. He looked at Taehyun. You wanted to negotiate? I want this to end. The attacks, the threats, all of it. Simple enough. Give me the evidence, walk away from your organization, and you get to live. You, Malia, and the baby. I'll even let you leave Korea. Start fresh somewhere. Why would I trust you? Because despite everything, we were friends once. That has to mean something. Taehyun laughed, a harsh, broken sound. Friends don't plot to murder each other's families. Friends don't build empires on blood and corruption either, but here we are. Woo shrugged. I'm offering you a way out. Take it. And if I don't, then you die, tonight, along with everyone you care about. His eyes flicked to Malia. It would be a shame. She's quite beautiful. Jinwoo had good taste in sisters, if not in life choices. Taehyun's fist clenched, but Malia put a hand on his arm. Don't. He's trying to provoke you. Smart woman, Woo said, but it doesn't change the facts. You're outmaneuvered, outgunned. Your brother was an obstacle, so I removed him. Hana wouldn't cooperate, so I removed her. And now you're standing here with evidence that threatens everything I've built. So tell me, Taehyun, do you really think you're walking off this bridge alive? Yes, Taehyun said calmly, because you made one critical mistake. Oh, and what's that? You assumed I came here to negotiate. Taehyun pulled out his phone, holding it up. I came here to get your confession on record, and thanks to this conversation, I have it. Woo's expression flickered just for a moment before smoothing back into calm. Clever, but recordings can be faked, dismissed. You need more than that. Oh, I have more. Taehyun smiled coldly. Every file, every recording, every piece of evidence Hana and Jinwoo gathered. It's all set to release in. He checked his watch. 3 minutes. To every major news organization in Korea and internationally, complete with your confession from right now. You're bluffing. Am I? Taehyun's smile widened. Feel free to test that theory. For the first time, Woo looked uncertain, then his hand moved inside his coat. Gun. Malia screamed. Everything exploded into chaos. Woo pulled a weapon, firing at Taehyun. Taehyun dove, pulling Malia down with him. Return fire came from the snipers Junho had positioned. More men appeared. Wu hadn't come alone after all, pouring onto the bridge from both ends. Move, Taehyun roared, hauling Malia to her feet. They ran. Bullets sparked off the concrete around them. Malia's heart thundered in her chest, adrenaline screaming through her veins. They were almost to their car when she felt it, a searing pain in her side. Hot, sharp, spreading. She stumbled. Malia! Taehyun caught her and his hands came away red. No. I'm okay, she gasped, but she wasn't. God, she wasn't. Junho. Taehyun's voice was raw with panic. Get the car! More gunfire. Taehyun returned fire, killing 2 men who got too close, his face a mask of lethal rage. Junho screeched up in the SUV, and Taehyun practically threw Malia into the back seat before diving in after her. Drive! Hospital! Now! No hospitals, Malia gasped out. They'll find us. I don't care, you're bleeding out. Taehyun! She grabbed his face with bloody hands, forcing him to look at her. Listen, Hana's phone. Safety deposit box. She said... Pain lanced through her, stealing her breath. She said there's a second key, a second box, something about your father. I don't care about that right now. You have to check. Her vision was blurring. Promise me. Malia, stay with me. His voice broke. Please, baby, stay with me. But the darkness was closing in. She tried to fight it, tried to hold on, but the pain was too much and the world was fading and... I love you, she whispered. Then everything went black. 48 hours later, Malia opened her eyes to white ceiling tiles and the smell of antiseptic. Hospital. She was in a hospital. She tried to sit up, and pain exploded through her side. A groan escaped before she could stop it. Don't move, Taehyun's voice. Rough, exhausted. She turned her head. He sat in a chair beside her bed, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His clothes were rumpled, face unshaven, eyes red-rimmed. You look terrible, she croaked. He laughed, a broken, relieved sound. You got shot and you're worried about how I look? How long? 2 days. The bullet hit your side, missed all the vital organs by inches. You're incredibly lucky. Doesn't feel lucky. You're alive. That's all that matters. His hand found hers, gripping tight. You scared the hell out of me. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just, his voice cracked. Don't ever do that again. Deal. She squeezed his hand. What happened after We got you to a private doctor, someone I trust. He patched you up, no questions asked. You've been unconscious since. And Wu? Taehyun's expression darkened. Gone. He escaped in the chaos, but the evidence went live. Every news station is running it. The government is in crisis. Multiple arrests have been made. Director Shin, Prosecutor Lee, 6 others. Wu is wanted, but he's gone to ground. So we won. We survived. That's not the same as winning. Malia processed that. And Minsik? Safe. With Junho. I wanted to be here when you woke up. Relief flooded through her. Thank God. For a moment, they just looked at each other. 2 people who'd survived impossible odds, bound together by trauma and love and choices neither had planned to make. Before I passed out, Malia said slowly, I told you something about Hana's phone, a second safety deposit box. Taehyun's expression shifted. Yes, you said something about my father. Did you check? No. I was too busy making sure you didn't die. Taehyun, I know it's important, but you're more important. They're both important. She struggled to sit up more, wincing. Help me. We need to look at that phone. Malia, you just woke up, and there's a reason Hana mentioned it in her final recording, a reason it matters. Please. He hesitated, then pulled out the phone from his jacket pocket. Fine, but if you start bleeding again, I'm stopping this immediately. Deal. He pulled up Hana's files, scrolling until he found what they needed. Second box key.txt. A simple text file with an address, a box number, and a key code. Seoul National Bank again, Taehyun murmured. Different branch, box 2847. What do you think is in it? I don't know. Hana never mentioned my father. He died when I was young. I don't see how. He stopped. Unless what? Unless his death wasn't what I thought either. Just like everything else in my life. His jaw clenched. We need to get to that box. You need to get to that box, Malia corrected. I need to stay here and heal. I'm not leaving you alone. I'm not alone. Junho can stay with me. You take another guard and go. Malia, it's important. I can feel it. Whatever's in that box, Hana wouldn't have mentioned it if it wasn't crucial. Taehyun looked torn. Finally, he nodded. Okay, but I'm taking the phone with me. And if anything, and I mean anything, feels wrong, I'm coming straight back. Agreed. He kissed her, gentle, careful of her injuries. I'll be back soon. I promise. I know. He left, and Malia settled back against the pillows, exhaustion pulling at her despite having been unconscious for 2 days. But she couldn't shake the feeling that whatever Taehyun was about to discover would change everything. Again. 6 hours later, Malia was dozing when Taehyun returned. She knew immediately something was wrong. He stood in the doorway, face ashen, holding a folder in trembling hands. What is it? She asked, sitting up despite the pain. What did you find? Taehyun moved like a man in a trance. He sat in the chair, but his eyes were distant. Haunted. My father, he said quietly, didn't die in a car accident like I was told. What? He was murdered 20 years ago by the same organization, the same conspiracy. Malia's breath caught. How he was a prosecutor, working on a case against organized crime and government corruption, early version of what would become Project Phoenix. Taehyun's hands shook as he opened the folder, showing her documents. Photos, evidence. They killed him to stop the investigation, and they made it look like an accident, just like they did to Jinwoo, to Hana. Oh my God, there's more. He pulled out a photo, a younger man who looked startlingly like Taehyun. My father was working with someone, a partner, someone he trusted completely. He pulled out another photo. Malia's world tilted. It was Detective Woo, 20 years younger, standing beside Taehyun's father, both smiling. No, she breathed. Woo was my father's partner, Taehyun said, voice hollow. They worked the case together, and when my father got too close to the truth, his voice broke. Woo killed him, then befriended me, raised me, guided me into the criminal world he helped create, all while pretending to be my friend, my mentor, the man who'd honor my father's memory. Tears streamed down Taehyun's face, and he didn't bother wiping them away. Everything, he whispered, my entire life, every choice I made, every path I took, it was all orchestrated by the man who murdered my father. Malia reached for him, pulling him close, letting him break against her shoulder. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. They held each other as the weight of revelation crushed down on them. Another layer of betrayal, another truth that shattered everything. After a long time, Taehyun pulled back. His eyes were red but hardening with resolve. There's one more thing, he said quietly. What? He pulled out a final document, a birth certificate. Hana's second message, the one in the safety deposit box. She found this while investigating, while trying to understand the conspiracy. He handed it to Malia. She read it again, her mind refusing to process what she was seeing. This can't be right, she breathed. It is, I checked. Multiple sources. It's real. The birth certificate was for Minho Park, Taehyun's brother, except according to this document, he wasn't Taehyun's brother at all. He was Woo's son. My mother had an affair, Taehyun said flatly, with Woo after my father died. Minho is Woo's child, not my father's, which means, his voice shook, which means Woo didn't just kill my father. He took his place in every way. Malia felt sick. Does Minho know? I don't think so. He's dead now anyway. Taehyun laughed bitterly. I killed my own brother, except he wasn't my brother. He was the son of the man who destroyed my family. The irony is almost poetic. Taehyun, and there's more. He pulled out his phone. While you were sleeping, I got a message from an unknown number. He showed her a text message with a video attachment. Should we watch it? Malia asked. We have to. He pressed play. The video showed a figure in shadows, voice digitally distorted. Congratulations, Mr. Park. You've uncovered quite a bit. My father's involvement, your father's murder, the full scope of our operation. Very impressive. Taehyun went rigid. Father? Yes, Detective Woo is my father, and I've been watching you very carefully. Everything you've done, everyone you've trusted, every move you've made. The figure leaned forward slightly, still in shadow. You think you've won. You think exposing us will end this. But you're wrong. Project Phoenix doesn't die with a few arrests. It evolves, and I'm the next evolution. A pause. We're coming for you, Mr. Park. Not now, not tomorrow, but soon, when you least expect it. And this time, the voice dropped lower. There will be no escape, no clever plans, no last-minute rescues, just an ending. For you, for Malia, and especially for that baby. The figure stood, moving toward the camera. See you soon, brother. The face came into focus just before the video cut out. Malia and Taehyun stared at the frozen frame in absolute shock. It was impossible. The person on the screen was dead. They'd buried him. But there he was, alive and smiling coldly at the camera. Minho Park. Wait, hold on. Stop. Minho is alive? And he's Woo's son? And he's coming for them? Comment part 4 right now because we cannot end it here. I need to see that in the comments. Part 4. But seriously, let's talk about what just happened. Taehyun's father was murdered by Woo 20 years ago. Woo has been manipulating Taehyun his entire life. Minho isn't dead? How is that possible? Minho is Woo's son, not Taehyun's brother. See you soon, brother. What does that mean? Drop your theories in the comments because I know some of you predicted parts of this. What do you think happens in part 4? Will Taehyun and Malia survive? How is Minho alive? And what is phase 2 of Project Phoenix? If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button and smash the notification bell because part 4 is going to be explosive. We're talking final confrontations, ultimate betrayals, and answers to everything. Like this video, share it with someone who loves intense drama, and comment part 4 so I know you're ready for the finale. I'll see you very soon for part 4. And trust me, you are not ready for how this ends.